Think about the best-selling games of all time. Picture that list in your head. You're probably imagining Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and Wii Sports. If you didn't imagine Wii Sports, you're either too young or evil, but it's definitely up there. Success brings imitation, and unfortunately, Wii Sports is not immune to that. Wii Sports, the game that broke the most TVs of any game. It's among the most iconic video games of all time. Your grandma probably even remembers playing this one. It's the third best-selling video game of all time, so most of you watching here have probably played it and have vivid memories of it. Some would argue that this game sold the Wii. It definitely played an integral role into explaining what the Wii was, what it was all about for the average consumer, and it was a smash hit. I mean, literally, people were accidentally smashing their controllers into their TVs because they got way too into the game. It was a minigame collection, 5 sports, and they were all a good example of what the Wii Remote could do, because functionally, they're all different games. They're not terribly in-depth, but I think that's a good thing. They're meant to be easy to pick up and play for anyone in the family whenever they want to, but don't get things twisted, they're certainly hard to master. Part of why Wii Sports was so impactful has to do with the Mii. They're just as important to the success of the game as the mini-games themselves, because Nintendo is no stranger to releasing sports games with the plethora of Mario sports games, but with this, you didn't have to know any characters, because you could just make yourself, and mom, and dad, and grandma. Or hell, you could just make whoever you wanted. If you wanted to play as Shaq, you could do that too. You were the character. Wii Sports became a cultural phenomenon, so everybody wanted to come around and steal a piece of the pie. And it just so happens that in the video game industry, whenever there's a big success, a massively popular game that the masses enjoy, there happens to be 100 other games that come after trying to recapture the same success, often forgetting what made the original great in the process. Everybody move your body. In 2008 came DecaSports. What the fuck is a DecaSport? Let me look this up. So apparently, Deca stands for Deca as in 10, you know, like a decagon. Okay, that's real freaking creative. DecaSports was made by HudsonSoft, you know, the Mario Party people. So honestly, I kinda trust them with making a game like this. They're no stranger to making mini-games. Hell, they make like 80 mini-games per Mario Party game. Yeah, that's right. Forgot. They're gone now. Well, they did make this while they were around. What I don't get about this game is Wii Sports already existed. Who in their right mind will buy another sports mini-game collection when the good one already came free with your system? What was the point of buying this game? It's not like the sports were anything crazy. They were all pretty mundane. I mean, there were sports that weren't in Wii Sports. They were weirder sports, but it's not like these were crazy ass sports. Let's just try out the game. So you don't even have access to the Miis, so that's already a problem, and you can't create your own characters. That was one of the things that made Wii Sports so good, was being able to make your own fucking characters. Put yourself in the game. I don't want to play it. Wait a second, you could play as LeBron? So yeah, there's 6 teams here, and they all got, I guess, kind of funny names. You know, like the Average Joes. I like going with the Average Joes. That's my team right there. Now, as the name implies, Deca, there's 10 sports. You got volleyball, kart racing, soccer, curling, basketball, supercross, snowboarding, figure skating, archery, and badminton. It's an oddball collection. You know, Wii Sports has the iconic sports, you know, boxing, golf, tennis, baseball, bowling. You know, these are sports that you can go to any country and people know about them. But curling, archery, like, I don't know. I feel like they were going with less popular sports here, and that's probably intentional because they didn't want to overlap with Wii Sports. Basketball and soccer are probably the 2 biggest sports that Wii Sports doesn't have, so it's good that they're here. Basketball did end up coming in Wii Sports Resort, and it's much better than it is here in my opinion, and soccer ended up in Nintendo Switch Sports, but that was more like Rocket League. That's besides the point. The sports here are weird. Who the hell says I want to pick up a game and hop on badminton? You know, like we want to play tennis. Like curling, who wants to play fucking curling? You know what? Maybe you want to play curling. Drop a comment if you want to play curling. But yeah, these are just some weird ass sports. I'm not very good at them. And that's another thing. The controls are not very fun to play with. There's a little too much variety in the control formats. Some games are just a single Wii remote and you use the motion controls. Some you hold it on your side and use it like the NES controller, and some require the nunchuck. Like, that's too much work, dude. I want to just pop in the game and be able to play and swing my remote around like Wii Sports. Wii Sports has one game that actually uses the nunchuck, and it makes sense. It's boxing. You're using both hands. So there's just too much going on in this one. It lacks an identity, and there's just way too much going on for me to enjoy it.
Dude, if you're not athletic, just say that.
Dude, what are you talking about? They're shitty sports minigames. I burn more calories chewing gum than I do playing those.
I don't know, bro. Seems like you're bad at them. That's why you don't like it.
You don't even have arms!
I'd still knock your ass out in boxing.
Fine. I'll try the sequel.
A year after DecaSports, they released a sequel for some reason, and it's another 10 sports. Darts, dodgeball, ice hockey, kendo, mogul skiing, motorcycle racing, speed skating, synchronized swimming, tennis, and I don't even know how to pronounce that one. As if the original 10 sports weren't strange enough, enjoy a game of synchronized swimming, that'll be fun. These games aren't much funner than the original 10. At the very least, I can say this one is better because it feels a bit more polished and there are some new features. There's a new point system similar to the one that was in Wii Sports, there's online multiplayer via WiiFi, and you can actually customize the teams, which is also something you can do in the portable release of DecaSports DS. Yeah, you're able to customize the teams that appear in-game, and that's a surprising feature. That's like something you'd see in Madden or NBA 2K, making custom teams, but you can do it all in your pocket too. It's not crazy in depth, but the fact that it's here is pretty nice.
I made the poop shitters.
These players gotta be randomized. Look, they made me a girl, and I look nothing like that. I tried making a character that looked like me, but I just ended up creating that one dude from every new metal band ever. Look at this racial representation. They're even representing green and blue aliens. I've always wanted to have an alien on my team, so I tried making one. We'll call him Gorblob. Actually, Kevin's alien enough. Kevin's fine. The Poop Shitters, world famous cheerleading team. God, we really suck.
Dude, half the fun of Wii Sports is because of the Miis. You should know that. And because they control well. And they're actually fun games.
Don't you like that Xbox garbage? That has no Miis. You traitor.
It's not what it looks like.
It's time to take it back. You ready to go? Let's start the show. You ready to go? Let's start the show.
Microsoft released the Kinect to be a motion control bootleg of the Wii. Well, to be fair, it was actually pretty unique. The Kinect was essentially a big camera that tracked your body movement, so there was no controller. That was the whole marketing gimmick, so I can at least give it some props. Was it made to be a competitor to the Wii? Yeah, absolutely. But in the process, did it make something unique? Yeah, it did. Starting up the game, the Kinect has to look at the ground before starting the game, I guess to calibrate. It's a little creepy, like this bitch is alive. Same thing with the calibration cards. Why does it look like that? Why does it have eyes? So I've got a little bit of a soft spot for these Kinect Sports games, but I won't let nostalgia blind what they are, and I'll tell things how they are. So, Kinect Sports on the 360 was released in 2010, and it was developed by Rare. You know, Rare, the Donkey Kong, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye Nintendo people. In the first game, you get 6 sports: bowling, boxing, track and field, ping pong, beach volleyball, and soccer. In the sequel, called Kinect Sports Season 2, you get a completely different set of 6 sports: golf, darts, baseball, skiing, tennis, and football. Look, this game has a special place in my heart because I grew up with it, so I know my perception is a little bit skewed. But man, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a bunch of fun with this. And for what it's worth, it works pretty well. The room I play in has a couch in the way, so it's a little bit of an obstacle to play with, so my playing area is a little bit smaller. So I gotta imagine it'd only be better to play it with a bigger room, so my experience was still good with a smaller room. Boxing is probably my favorite sport. Maybe because I get way into it and I get drenched in sweat after I'm finished.
That was a crazy match.
I would have knocked you out before you stepped foot in the ring.
Pretty sure that's against the rules, pal.
Darts was also pretty fun, but I think that's just because I like playing darts, period. It doesn't do a really good job of giving you a feel for the Kinect. You kind of just point your hand in the direction and throw. Football was also a lot of fun because it also uses voice commands, which is something the Kinect also has. An underrated aspect of it, it has a microphone on it. I played this one a lot with my dad and my cousin growing up. One thing I gotta give this game a ton of credit for is its presentation. I mean, there's like sponsorships, there's score bugs, commentary. It feels like a simulation of these sports being broadcasted on TV, similar to how games like Madden or 2K go, which is fitting considering the entire concept of Kinect is to put you in the game. In comparison, it makes Wii Sports kind of feel like a video game for better and for worse. Sometimes Wii Sports can feel a little cramped and hollow, if that makes any sense. A feeling that is 100% remedied by Wii Sports Resort. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, the original Wii Sports kind of just feels like a minigame collection, whereas Wii Sports Resort feels more like a world that's lived in. Anyways, that's besides the point. I love Kinect Sports. It's cheesy, but it's a good time if you have the room for it. And I give it credit because it's legitimately trying something different. Even if it is trying to recapture the success of the Wii, it is making something new.
Yeah, sounds like garbage. I bet you only like the boxing game there because I'm not there to keep you from winning.
So what if I like Kinect Sports? What are you gonna do, throw me in prison? It's getting easier and easier to end up here these days. At least I have Sports Champions.
Sports Champions was the PlayStation copy of Wii Sports, and it actually beat Kinect Sports by a few months, but I chose to talk about Kinect Sports because I actually have a personal connection to that game. This one, not so much. I didn't grow up with a PS3. First, can I just say this game wins generic title of the year? I mean, look, the bar wasn't that high with Kinect Sports and Wii Sports, so how did you manage to make it more generic? Sports Champions? That's like the name of a game that could have appeared anywhere on the Atari 2600 to a fucking iPhone game. So we're back to generic humans as our wide cast of characters. Look man, I take Shitty Me Bootleg over John Smith number 7. Just let me have the customization. That's part of the reason I like Kinect Sports so much was because of the avatars. And I'll give credit where credit's due. This game has some pretty insane ass sports. One of the gimmicks of this game is that it's half modern, half medieval. Could have called it Sports Generations. Let's just go over the sports list, shall we? Table tennis, volleyball, frisbee golf, gladiator duel. In Gladiator Duel, you can duel it out with a giant fucking mallet or swords or a buckler. You can do big ass hit combos. There's a ton of unlockable weapons and a bunch of enemies to see. See this? Why didn't you just go all in with this? You had a cool concept here. So what was the point in still trying to copy Wii Sports somehow by forcing in fucking frisbee golf? Seriously, it's such an anomaly to have this in what's supposed to be your Wii Sports type game to show off the tech. Why didn't you just put all your stock into a sick ass medieval game with like magic and stuff? You already had the groundwork laid out. At the very least, you were trying something different from Wii Sports. And for that, I have to commend you, Sony. Still, you should have just all went in with that Gladiator game. Before Sports Champions and Kinect Sports, and even DecaSports was Game Party on the Wii. Now, I don't know about you guys, but outside of Kinect Sports, Game Party was probably the series I remember seeing the most. I never had it, never played it with anyone, but I just remember seeing it at game stores a good amount. I guess even my little boy brain knew that there was no point in buying a shitty sports minigame collection for the Wii when Nintendo gave you one with your console for free. This was Midway's attempt at striking Wii Sports oil. Just look at the box art. You know, you got the games that you could play on it. Darts, air hockey, basketball, trivia. With every other game we've spoke about previously in this video, at the very absolute least, they were passable games. Nothing terribly thrilling, but functional. Fun under the right circumstances. But this one, look, when you boot up the game and see a title screen like that, you know it's gonna be a bad one. Wow, look at this menu, so Fruitiger Metro, so nostalgic. These games are less than traditional sports, and more clubhouse type games.
Say that again?
No, but seriously, these are actually clubhouse type games. They're like random one-off games you might see at a bar or the back of a bowling alley. You got darts, beer pong, which they call ping cup for some reason. I've never heard anyone call beer pong ping cup. Ping cup! Skee ball, that basketball shootout arcade game, and shuffleboard. Oh, and trivia, everyone's favorite sport. These games suck ass, dude. IGN said this game was the start of the Wii's plague of shovelware, but that's not even the worst insult. Eurogamer gave it a 1 out of 10, but their comment was so much worse than any number value could hurt. They said, and I quote, "The game party experience is like going to a party where there's nothing to drink but Tesco value brandy, and there are only 4 other guests, and they're all racist, and then your ex turns up and gets off with a Danish supermodel." What? Like, the game is genuinely this bad that they had to craft up an insult like that. That's generational. I can't think of a video game reviewer that's worse than that. The games control like butt, the graphics are just so blah, the sounds are all obviously stock sounds and painfully repetitive, and you have to pick from their selection of characters, so no making your own. Why didn't anyone tell all of these developers back then that nobody wants to play as their generic human bootlegs? So at least that's it. At least that's all of Game Part.
There's 2 of them!
Well, they made a sequel, because the original, despite its downright despicable reviews, it still sold well. Look at them, following the trend of putting another 3D text on the box art. So this game is kinda like physical DLC for the original game, because all but one game from the original return. You're also able to finally create your own characters, which is nice. Thank you, you listened. There's some new games, and they're all painfully mid. Puck bowling? Quarterback challenge? It's like target practice, but with a football. This is why Kinect Sports is peak, because it has real football. Horseshoe. And cornhole, which is called beanbags. You can unlock shit for your bootleg me. The game still sucks. It's moderately better than the original, but it's still smelly. So, just steer clear of these 2 stinkers. It's not like Midway would release 3 game parts. Well, actually, Midway didn't release this one, because they died. That's 2 companies we spoke about today that made Wii Sports clones and then died shortly after. The menu at the very least shows you what you can play. There's just so many random ass games here, dude. There's a more arcade/carnival vibe to these newer games, but I still don't think they're fun to control or fun to play in the slightest. The original games get better, I guess, but man, I just still... Believe it or not, these bastards actually had the audacity to release a 4th game, Game Party Champions. I don't consider that one a Wii Sports clone because it's on the Wii U and it actually predates Wii Sports Club on the system, so does that make Wii Sports Club a Game Party Champions clone? Well, obviously not, but that actually begs the question. Nintendo technically remade Wii Sports, so they obviously have the willingness to clone their own game. Have they ever made a Wii Sports clone themselves? Mario Sports Mix. Announced at E3 2010, this game, well, it's a mix of sports featuring Mario. Look, Nintendo isn't winning any Creative Names of the Year awards, but I mean, what else do you call a weird game like this? I'm not sure why they decided to release this. We already had 3 Mario Sports games on Wii, 2 of those being really good games. Oh, and also, there was already 2 Wii Sports games! Square Enix made this. They also made the greatest Mario Sports game of all time, Mario Hoops 3-on-3, so of course Nintendo would want them to make another Mario Sports game. And you can definitely feel some of the DNA from Mario Hoops in here. For one, it has a great soundtrack, especially that menu theme. That menu theme with Mario dribbling on beat, dude, it's just so good. Just have a listen. Similar to Mario Hoops, Square also put some of their Final Fantasy characters in the game, which is just so awesome. Their designs are all modified to fit with the Mario cast. Like, look at White Mage. Tell me you can't see this being Rosalina's mom or some shit. And who doesn't love some good old Cactuar? That's my son right there. The characters do use the same designs from Mario Hoops, but I figure I'd mention it here. Here, you get 4 games: basketball, dodgeball, hockey, and volleyball. Now look. You already know, I'm Mario Hoops' greatest warrior. So obviously, let's start with basketball. It feels very similar to Hoops on the DS. Even some of the sound effects are reused. The stages feel very similar. I will say, I find hoops to be much funner to control because you have so much more control over the ball when you're literally tapping on the screen to manually dribble, rather than just auto-dribbling on controller. Being able to position the ball makes a pretty big difference for me. And from a gameplay point of view, I find the coin system on DS funner to play with. It encourages moving around the court and potentially risking an opening for a clean shot. While this philosophy is still in Mario Sports Mix with the multipliers on the court, it's just not as fun as dunking and ending up with 99 coins. The special moves in this game are really creative. It's fun, but it's not nearly as fun as hoops. Then there's hockey. I like this one a lot. It controls very smoothly and I had a great time playing with it. The CPUs are kinda bad in the game, but it's fine. Enough practice and I'm sure they'll be good someday. The hockey puck is a coin, that's pretty cute. And let me just take this moment to say that the area themes are so cool. Like, we're playing hockey on a Mario Kart rink with cars in the background and cones blocking the goals. Like, what? Then we have dodgeball, which is probably the weirdest sport to make into a game like this. I mean, every other Mario sport has a pretty clear point system. Dodgeball is just kind of weird. So you have like these health bars and every time you get hit it goes down, which I guess is a good way to make it into a game format. You get 2 Yoshis that play for each team on the sidelines. And actually when you get eliminated you can keep playing from the sideline. This game's just okay. And volleyball is just volleyball. There's extra little mini games which add fun ways to play the 4 games, which is cool. I always love when Mario Sports gives fun side modes to shake up the main sport. There's tournament modes for each sport, similar to that of Hoops tournament mode. You can even play the game online. So Mario Sports Mix, it's a pretty decent Mario version of Wii Sports. I'd say it's right in between Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and a full Mario Sports game. It's not as shallow and generic as Olympics, but it's not quite fully fleshed out as a Mario Sports title. Yeah, so there's a bucket load of Wii Sports clones. I'm sure there's way more obscure ones that I missed, but these were kind of the major ones I could think of. Moral of the story, kids, don't copy other people's work. Okay, bye!